This is episode 176 of the Double Cross Anime Podcast. I'm Whooper, and here's Mario.
How's everyone going?
Well, I'll tell you how I'm doing. I have
Mhm.
bronchitis, so I'm going to be speaking very
Uh,
quietly during this podcast, different from our usual formula where I'm way too loud and obnoxious. So my voice will be quiet. I'll do my best not to cough or sneeze or blow my nose right into the mic. Putting all that yucky stuff aside, this is the fall 2024 impressions episode. Of course, we do four of these every year, one every quarter. I don't know how many we've done at this point.
yeah.
We've got an interesting crop of shows here. Part of the reason that I would say they are interesting, the 10 that we've selected, is because several of them had 1 hour premieres,
Yeah.
or rather, they dropped their first two episodes at the same time. I think Tsuma Show is one of these. I'm pretty
Mm,
sure that Orb on the Movements of the Earth is one of those,
yeah.
and Blue Box had its first episode came out, and then 2 or 3 days later, its next episode came out.
Yeah.
And then there were other shows. I think Trillion Game was one as well. Some that we're not covering that also did the drop 2 episodes at once strategy. Uh, Very pretty different from normal. We've had some movie length premieres recently,
Mhm.
but this is kind of a different beast. Not sure what the reason for that is, but something to note.
Yeah. But at tradition, we only watch the first episodes of all of them.
Yes, I can confirm. I did that as well.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to go in reverse alphabetical order this time. Is that right?
Yep. Just make it more interesting, I
Okay.
feel.
All right. Well, then I'm going to leave that to you. Do you want to bring us into the first show, or do you have any other comments on these 10 shows or anything that we're not going to talk about, but that you did watch and that you were excited about? What do you think?
Um, no, I think I'm good with these. And so it's just one of these show that was really bad to me. That but at one point I was thinking of saying that, hey Whooper, can we just replay this one to another show? But otherwise, I think I'm good with these. Then so will I think I will uh continue to watch most of them as well. Like at
Okay.
least try out a few more episodes. See if I can I stick around until the end of the season.
All right. I don't think I'm
So
as
I
optimistic as you this time,
yeah.
but
Well,
I mean, it's pretty decent. This group of 10, I think.
all right, we can so let's start with the bottom. So the show that uh let's stay last in the alphabetical order. That would be Yakuza Fiancé.
Okay. So we
Or
are doing the English titles.
yeah, let's do the English title.
Got it.
So Rise wa Tanin Yali
Yeah.
OE.
Yeah, I think it is EE. Um, Yakuza Fiancé. Okay. Well, I knew going in, since we both write for the same blog, the two of us actually know a little bit about our reception for some of these shows. For example, when Mario says
Hmm.
one of these was just so bad, I wanted to replace it. I think I know which one he's talking about.
All right.
In addition to doing some first impressions for that website, I also contributed to the season preview. So I knew
Hmm.
going in that Yakuza Fiancé was going to be kind of twisted,
Yeah.
like slightly dark.
Yeah.
But I did not know that the male lead was going to suggest to his fiancee or potential fiancee that she should become an escort and provide
Hmm.
sexual favors for her clients.
Yeah.
I didn't know something like that was going to be part of the script. So that's a little weird. But
Hmm.
anime doesn't typically go in that direction. So I'm also kind of interested in like how they will manage to keep this ship afloat.
Yeah. Well, that this first episode just feel kind of weird to me as well. Not because of like how dark it can get, but it's more because of like I still don't know the main female characters. What is she really thinking, or what is she really capable of? I mean, yeah, she a bit plain for me as well for the first 15 minutes, and I'm not really sure on how she becomes like more interesting, and that guy Miyama. I
Yeah.
just go for his last name then. Uh, just like head over heels after she declare
Yeah.
war.
I mean, I think he is judging her based on her appearance. Very early
Yep,
in this episode, there's a conversation between Yoshino, the main female character, and her grandfather, because both
yep.
she and her, potential love interest are like the heirs to separate Yakuza families.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so she's having a conversation with her grandfather, and she says, "I'm always getting like people are always assuming that I'm like in my 20s, or that I'm a divorcee, or that I'm like some sort of heartbreaker." Because she looks a lot older than she really is. She's I guess, a senior in high school.
Hmm.
Um, but she does. I mean, her character design and the character designs in this show in general are more adult than you
Mm.
typically get from anime.
Yep.
So even if she's not like you, even if you have doubts about whether she can carry the show, and I don't think she'll have to do it on her own, but if you're not sure whether she's going to be a strong enough protagonist here, at least her design is quite striking.
Yep.
And she does have, she's a little bit feisty too. Now that she's gotten this mission from her grandfather to like kind of make the male lead fall head over heels for her, and then um, like break his heart, I guess
Mm.
is the
Yeah.
idea.
Hmm.
Um, Now that she has that mission, we'll see whether she can step into the role.
Yep.
She does seem kind of like in the first half of the episode, um, and I don't know, maybe even the whole thing. Arguably, she does seem kind of flustered at multiple
Mm.
points. Like she's not on
Yep.
the same level as some of the other characters who are perhaps a little more violent or strange or like nuts. She
Yep.
does seem to be more average, and I think part of the fun of this show, if it indeed ends up being fun, is going to be watching her kind of access that same part of her personality.
Mm. Yeah, I think I remember part of the OP that we watched is how she become more oppressive. Like she just act more like boys and her fiance Miyama just love it. So maybe
Yeah,
it's gonna go to that direction as well. So she just act like herself, which is like more tomboy. I don't get that tomboy feeling that much towards the first 15 minutes, but well, it's just the first episode that we watch.
well, you've mentioned the first 15 minutes a couple times. What happened at the end that made you see a
Yeah.
different side of her character?
Wow. So she basically flipped the coins. She just bring Myanmar some sort of money that she said that she sell her kidneys for that.
Oh, that's right, I
And
forgot about that.
yeah, I don't think that's true though, but it's just a way to intimidate Myanmar. But and then she declared war on him and to all these girls who been bullying her. That
Yeah,
like touch her again, and she gonna be she gonna get revenge. And he
right.
immediately just getting into like all that. Just find that utterly attractive, I think.
Yeah,
So I think points up to the show for not like not timing on how Myanmar can go extreme on his torture or like the way that he's doing. But at the same time, I don't find him sort of like alluring or attractive at all. So I think it's on me.
well, yeah, maybe that's more for people who are into guys, crazy guys,
Yep.
violent, abusive guys.
Hmm. Yep.
I don't know. When you tell a romantic story like this, I assume there will be a serious romantic angle to it after the show kind of gets its shit together.
Hmm.
There's always a part of me that finds that pretty weird. Like if people are into a character who like comes home from a to his house late at night with blood on his clothes, or carrying a baseball bat or
Yep.
whatever.
Uh,
But
Uh,
like I said at the start of our little discussion here, I guess I'm kind of interested to see if the show can really do this,
mm,
because it's a very thin line to walk.
yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
We know that not only is Miyama attracted to the aspect of Yoshino's personality that she displays in the last few minutes, but as soon as he sees her picture, like very very early on in the episode, even I think before
Mm,
the OP kicks in, like in the cold open,
yeah.
he sees a picture of her and he's like, oh, I would let a girl like this mess up my life,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's probably attracted to her on on more than just one level,
Yeah.
because that is, much is made in the script, I think, of her beauty.
Mm, yeah. She does
And
look
that's,
like the main girls in the 12 Kingdoms with the red hairs and the slightly older, um, you know, face that look older than she really is.
yeah, I kind of see what you mean. The characters in the 12 Kingdoms definitely, I think realism is, or at least giving the characters depicting them in a way that matches their actual age,
Mm,
was on the character designer's mind in that series. And here, something similar is going on. They're even aging her up a little bit past what a
yep.
typical 17-year-old might look like. Yeah, but in both
Yep.
cases, it's not the same. We're not talking about Eurocamp here or K-On! Or something like that, where the
Mm,
characters are little marshmallows.
yep.
And to me, that's a nice change.
Yep. Yep. But the thing is, all the grandparents here look actually pretty young for their age.
Yeah, I
So
think the idea is that they're supposed to be very attractive. I think in
yep.
general, the character designs are going to be pretty beautified in this
Yep.
series. And a lot of them
Agree.
are going to be men, because I think this
Yep.
series is probably aimed at women.
Yep.
And
So
I would say this is not the only show in this group of 10 that we've picked that has a cast full of handsome men. So,
hmm we,
bring them
yeah,
on.
we will. Yeah, we will get into that later, guys.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not really sure on like the romance between the two of them, mainly because I don't find Miyama to be any sort of that interesting. For the girl Sume, I'm alright with her. So I if I gonna watch some more episode, I just purely because I want to see how we'll see this from here, and I think it's kind of like the main point as well for the show going forward. So yep, you have any other notes on Yakuza Fiancé?
No, I'm one thing I guess I'm interested in is the history between these two Yakuza families.
Yep,
Obviously, the main relationship is going to be between Yoshino and Miyama,
yep,
but they belong to two rival crime families that probably have a much longer history, and their grandfathers may even be pitting the kids against each other to fight
yep,
some sort of proxy war. So
yep,
that I
yep.
would love to see incorporated into upcoming episodes. If the show
Yep.
does that, I think I will probably stick with it the whole way. If not,
Mm,
I'll have to, you know, wait and see, I guess.
yep. All right. So I put it 9 out of 10.
Okay. For me, it was number 5.
Yep. All right. We got some sort of different here, so I think that's good.
Yeah. Well, we're kicking things off with a major difference of opinion, I guess, or somewhat significant.
Yep. All right. The next one is the one that we've been waiting around the this premiere for years, and finally it's come. So it's Uzumaki, Spiral
Yes.
into Horror.
Yes, the Junji Ito adaptation to end all Junji Ito adaptations. Hopefully,
Yep.
I don't think we need any more. We've had
Oh
enough.
God.
So
Uh,
the question going into this one was going to be, would it be worth the wait? Would it be worth the hype? Would it erase all the sins of the directors of past Junji Ito adaptations committed? What do you think are the answer to those questions?
I
Was
think
it good?
yes
Was
and
it
no.
bad?
I think yes and no. At least in the first episode that we watched, because I heard from another source that it's just go downhill from the second episodes. But purely on the first episode, I think it's actually faithful to the spirit of the adaptation. It's not it's not that I have read Uzumaki before, so I know about the original source, but the feel of it, I think it feel like uh reading or watching a Junji Ito's work. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
the black and white helps. The fact that the line work is like highly emphasized in characters'
yep,
hair and in their their clothing and even the
yep,
backgrounds. That helps. It does kind of feel like a manga brought to life.
yep, yep.
How about the story that the first episode tells, though?
It's very clunky, but
Yeah,
well, I think that sort of Junji Ito's as well, So when it comes to obsession, I feel that like the so does a good job of like having something that like something wrong going on, and they kind of like don't know what that is. Yeah, the kind of obsession as well. It's just getting and getting stronger. So all the feeling, all of these feeling are pretty much legit, and I feel a bit like watching a Lynch movies as well. But at worst though, it's gonna be very comical sometimes. Like all the characters, uh reaction to all of these are really really bad. But it's very campy, but like there's sort of entertainment to like, well, to experience that as well.
I would say that it's entertaining just to. I mean, I also have not read the manga, not a big manga
Yep.
reader, and not a big horror fan, so I haven't had a strong reason to explore
Mm.
Ito's mangaography,
Works.
so to say.
Yep. Mm.
But I did enjoy watching the episode. I think I could say because it just gives me a look into what his style actually looks like when it's put in motion.
Hmm.
And that may not be the case for the second, third, or fourth episodes, based on rumblings online. But it was perhaps an important experience for me to watch this first episode just to really understand what I was supposed to have seen in years past and series past based on his
Yep.
works. And it's, the animation is very cool, of course. And I love Colin Stetson, the person who composed the score. He's a saxophonist who put out an album
Mm.
last year. I think the title is When We Were What Wept for the Sea. And it's
All right.
completely, it's like all saxophone, no percussion, no guitars, no strings, no vocals. It's all
Wow.
saxophone.
Mm.
Saxophone's a big part of the soundtrack to this episode. Of course, that's why they brought him on.
Yep.
So I liked
Mm.
hearing that with the black and white animation laid on top of it to create a an unnerving effect, and of course some of the images of the protagonist's father inside that circular like tub or whatever it
Yep.
was, it looking like a big old snail basically,
Yep.
with all the bones in his body broken apparently, and
Yep.
like the sweaty guy Katayama who gets bullied at school. He's got a
Yep.
spiral pattern on his back. I assume that in episode 2 something crazy is going to happen to him,
Yep.
and he'll end up eating people or whatever.
To transforming into another things, spiral
Yeah,
things.
some sort of spiral themed creature or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean those are the nice things that I have to say about this episode. But I will say in general, we don't get a sense of who any of the characters are at
Yep.
all.
I agree.
Like all we
Yep.
know about Kyrie, for example, is that she is friends with Azami and she is Shuichi's girlfriend. We don't know a
Yep.
single thing about who she is as a person. And
Yep.
it's even the same for Shuichi. He is the character whose father is the first one to be, infected by this spiral obsession or curse. That's his role,
Yep.
is to just be related to somebody who,
Yep.
gets sucked into this spiral thing. I don't know anything about him,
Yep.
or
True.
any of these characters, and all their stories are so lined up, bam, 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 one after another, and their appearances. I just feel like I can't really breathe while watching it, and not because I'm horrified, like the show wants me to be. It's because I just don't know who I'm really supposed to care about or why.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we're supposed to care about any of these characters. Like the way that they put on screen, especially, like Kiri's best friend Asami. Just see by her role there, she appears, she become attractive because she has like that spiral mark in her forehead, just like Harry Potter. And so she's the one, everyone just falling head over heel for her, except for Suichi, who just find that creepy and run away from her, and that make her really mad. So uh, she asked another one of her, underrulings to ask him out to meet him in order to confess to him or something. And when he rejects, she become out of control, to the point that she become the spiral herself and just suck everyone into that spiral. How crazy is that? So
It's
and
pretty crazy.
how and how like it just doesn't make any damn sense at all.
No.
So oh, I love to see her back. By the way, I don't know if she's gonna be back anymore.
I mean, I,
Uh,
I think she was the most interesting character.
I agree. Like when you see like all the images that the show put on, like it's really striking. It makes you remembers, but it doesn't make any like goddamn sense. So her image of like losing an eye, or like just an eyeball just go through around her head, it just very very memorable, to say the least. Uh, I just wish that the rest of the episode can be that memorable.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
But if it were memorable in the same sense that that scene was, then it would just be all about imagery and iconography.
yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true.
and it really does need to be more. I think like the reason that I think Azami is the best character is not just because she has the most interesting spiral related scene where
Yeah,
she is sucked into her own like void within herself, but because like her story of having men like fawn all over her and finding one guy who it like can resist her charms and then pursuing him, that is at least a story that can let us get into her kind of twisted mindset.
yeah,
There's like something there to grab onto as an audience member,
yeah,
whereas
yeah,
Shuichi is just like he is just the main character. Nothing there's nothing that he's doing, for example, related to his father's declining health or his mother's like hospitalization that makes him memorable. He doesn't go to any particular lengths to save them or to cure them or to kill them or to do anything really. He's
yeah,
just a guy with glasses with a girlfriend who is on screen more than most other characters.
yeah, yeah. True. Hot girlfriend. I can say.
Now, Azami is way better looking.
Yeah, because she got that crest moon shape in her
Exactly.
forehead.
Yeah, and for no other reason,
Oh,
just that.
yeah. So, do you like the decision of the show going just black and white and not other colors?
Yeah, I think it makes sense,
Yeah,
especially in the context of this being the adaptation of Ito's works that is supposed to be like the one, where all the others have gone in color. This one differentiates itself by being in black and white.
yeah. Well, so too bad, but it's only 4 episodes, so I reckon that it's a breeze to watch all of the other episode. I'm more than keen to watch more of it. Um, yeah, I just say that this is for me, Junji Ito is kind of a bit for me overrated as well. he's the one who like really famous among the horror fans, and or many of his just like we said images are really memorable, but he's not a great storyteller though. He kind of like having this team and he want to really push forward that team no matter what, and he doesn't really care about his characters as well.
I think
I
I have to interrupt you for a second. Didn't you say that you
Yep,
haven't read Uzumaki?
I haven't read Uzumaki.
All right, I don't know if you're allowed to say that Junji Ito is overrated
All
if you
right,
haven't
well,
read what most people
I
consider to be his opus.
yeah, well, I read Tommy. I actually found Tommy to be interesting as well. So and I watched many of these anime adaptation from him, and they are not too good. But I think it's more like maybe lost in translation more than more than him himself. But nah, not
Yeah, I think you gotta really dive into his stuff before you make a
yep, yep,
judgment
yep,
about him as like a craftsman of manga.
yep. That's true. That's true. I take that back.
All right,
But
you've
yeah,
saved us by taking that back. You've saved us from angry comments.
yep, I still willing to watch more of this to see how this pan out. But yeah, the feeling of like obsession to something really strange is there. I would love to the show to grab more of that of this obsession and go wide with that. So there's a reason for us to care about all these strange occurrence currently going on to the town. And speaking of that, why don't Suichi and Kira just go to another town?
I think
Get away from all that.
that'll probably be explored.
Yeah,
You know, at a certain point, I imagine they'll try to flee. I mean, he even said to her in this first episode, like, "Let's get out of town. Come with me."
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Very early on, I think, in the first episode, even before, maybe even before his father had turned into that snail thing.
mhm. All right. Yep. Do you have any other note on Uzumaki?
Nope, I put it ninth.
I put it seventh.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, the only reason I would watch more of this is just to finish it so I can label it like biggest disappointment for the end of the year awards on
Oh,
Starcrossed. That would be the main reason I would finish it, and to see
oh,
all the crazy clips that I've seen of like really terrible in between animation people have posted online to see them in context.
ah, Whooper. Just don't watch it because you want to hate it. No, try to
Well,
enjoy it.
I think it'd be funny.
It
I
will
mean,
be.
like you said, there were some moments of comedy
Yep,
in this episode. Some maybe some unintentional ones. So
yep,
if future episodes are not as well produced, then that factor may be amplified, and it could be a good time sitting down to watch it.
yep. A good comedy show, comedy
Yeah.
horror, good combination. The next one is Shumasho or Shuma Shougakusei ni Naru.
Yeah, so I wasn't interested in watching this at all,
Right.
but you did vouch for it, I guess, by putting it on your list, and I was pleasantly surprised
All
by
right.
it. For a show whose title is "My Wife is an Elementary Schooler"
Yep.
or
Yep.
something,
Yep.
the title's something like that. Of course, I thought that this is going to be some stupid, slice of life show that kind of leans towards being perverted or some weird Japanese thing. I don't know.
Yep.
And it does have its little jokes in there where the reincarnated wife says, "Don't you gotta watch out? You're gonna be put on a wanted list if you keep acting this way around me because I'm just 10 years old." Ha ha ha.
Yep.
It has those jokes for the crowd that really loves that stuff and wants to hear it. But other than that, I enjoyed this episode.
Yep. Yep. Me too. I actually kind of like enjoy the premise of that. It's a one of these three incarnation, but it there is in like a sweet way. because the main character Kensuke and his daughter Mai have been living in the shadow for 10 years now. It's a bit too much for both of them, I think, to to cannot let go of his late wife or late mother, and just living without joy until she come back again in the form of a 10 years old girl. So yep,
Yeah.
I feel that the premise is kind of sweet as well, and yep, and he been living, he kind of like enjoying the joy of living again after her reappearance.
Yeah, he's so happy that she's come back that he doesn't even notice that his young, attractive coworker is coming on to him
Yep,
in a manner
yep,
very similar to the way that his wife once approached him
yep, yep,
by like offering to, eat lunch with him and make him bentos and stuff. The show's very interested in bentos. That's
yep.
one of the
Wow,
major motifs, even I think you could say,
but
is like sharing meals. Preparing meals for a person you love and sharing it with them. That's the
the
backstory of his relationship with his wife. That's the relationship that he's forming with this new coworker.
yep.
So this guy's kind of thick in the head, I think.
But I kind of a bit having a culture shock looking looking at all these how the Japanese spend their lunchtime, just like sitting in the park and eating the bento,
Yeah, I think that's probably not very common. I think a lot of Japanese salarymen probably eat lunch at their desk,
right.
you know,
Well, it's
working
it
on Excel spreadsheets and stuff.
yeah. Well, that's me, but well, uh I remember the films that you put at best last year. They have like a main characters who have lunch in the park as well, just like this. So maybe
Wait,
it's not that uncommon in
oh,
Japan as well.
okay, you're talking about Perfect Days.
Yeah, perfect days.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main character in that film, the fact that he is a sanitation worker and he
Yep,
moves from place to place, spending most of his time like in transit outside, kind of gives him the freedom to eat in the
yep,
park. And the fact
yes,
that he's
yep.
such a dedicated,
Agree.
like efficient worker means he creates time for himself to eat that way.
Yep,
So
yep.
perhaps what the show is telling us, what Tsuma show is telling us, is that Keisuke is also a very efficient worker, especially now
Mm.
that the news of his wife's reincarnation has been brought to his attention. Now he's
Yep,
just like a super fast data enterer, and so he has time to go to the park and eat.
yep. He has the time to have out with his coworker as well. So effective, very effective, and yep.
One
Uh,
thing that I really liked about this episode is that it kind of promised that the daughter will be a significant character.
yeah,
You know, because she's an adult, but also like in the OP, she's paired with another male character, who I think will probably be her love interest. So she'll have her own story. Like she
yeah,
is also someone who was hit really hard by the passing of her mother, and so she'll have her own, her relationship with Marika, the 10-year-old, whose soul her mother's, how do I phrase this sentence? I don't know, but her mother's soul is now in this 10-year-old girl, so she'll have her own unique relationship with her.
yeah,
And then she's also got, she's going to try to lock down a good man to start
yeah,
a relationship with, I guess. So she'll have, anytime we get kind of sick of whatever Keisuke is doing at his probably
yeah,
not so exciting corporate job, or whatever shenanigans he's getting up to with Marika, the show has another character that it can go to. It has a like B plots that it can generate easily because Mai exists. So
yeah,
hopefully there will be a balance.
yeah. And if and there's one another plot thread that I think the show can go is to explore Marika's current situation as well. She said like
Yeah,
she now the daughter of she now I don't know how she framed that, the daughter of some family as well, or something. The way she put that is more elegant than what I put, but she have another life. Except for like she was Keisuke's ex-wife, so she had to live two life. So it's really good to see like they explore her current life well, and maybe if Keisuke and Mai can meet the other family or not, or even like her current like life at school. So there's a lot of angle the show can really go with.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully it does, and we get some. We get to see different dimensions of every character's life, and it's
Yeah.
not just silly antics between Keisuke and Marika like 75% of the time. It would be nice if it
Uh,
were more well-rounded than that.
yeah. Well, I so far I still enjoy this one, and I actually kind of enjoy how the show go with Keisuke and uh Take. That was his
His
wife
ex-wife,
before. Yep, before she passed away. How the relationship goes, and then the birth of the baby, and how she grow up as well. So we see a real passage of time until it got short for 10 years. Like in the span of 10 years, we don't really see how they doing because they are standing still. They haven't move on from the death of the ex-wife.
yeah. Well, there'll be plenty, given that this is a reincarnation based show and that there are characters of varying ages. There's a 10-year-old girl, there's a young woman, there's a man who's approaching or perhaps already in middle age. Um, the time is going to be a big factor, I think, in what the show is trying to tell us. And so that means more than likely we will get a lot of flashbacks. So
Yeah,
there will be opportunities to fill in those 10 missing years, and perhaps we'll see, um, you know, other other glimpses into like the early stages of Keisuke and Takae's relationship, and
yeah,
the show can go in a bunch of different directions despite its relatively modest setup.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. So too long didn't read. It's actually way better than the title suggests it to be.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah. Uh. All right. How you put the show out of your 10?
Number two.
Wow. Wow. I put it 6 out of 10.
All right.
Wow. Good on you.
Yep.
Yep. Uh. All right. Next one gonna be Ranma half.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how you say like for example, Hunter x Hunter, you don't pronounce the X. I don't know what you
Yep.
do for the half symbol when you're saying the title of this anime. A
Yeah.
Ranma half, I guess, makes sense.
Yeah. I yeah. Normally I just go with Ranma half
Yeah,
because it's kind of like yeah what they intend uh to do. So well, anyway, Ranma half 2024 version, but the story bit is exactly like what we watched in the first episodes in 1989, right?
yeah. Each of us have seen the first four episodes from
Yep.
the original Ranma anime, and this one does follow beat for beat the first
Uh,
episode of that original series because, of course, it's following the manga. You
yep.
have to get the setup
I
of the trip to China, where both Ranma and his father fall into the cursed spring, and he gets
Yep.
the gender flipping ability, and his father gets the panda ability, or curse, I should say. Then you have
Yep.
the introduction of the three sisters living at the dojo, and their father, who's a goofball.
Yep.
So it is the same old,
Yep.
and there's not
This
much more
is
to say about it, honestly. I mean, the animation's nice, and the different character, or rather,
yep.
the different color palette gives the show its own identity compared to the original.
Yep. Yep. All
That's
right.
about all I got, I think.
All right. There's two more things that I can say more about the show. Is that one is I think the show gonna move really fast after the first episodes because I think they try to cram the material of how many episodes, like 24 episodes into just like one core. So I yeah, so what I heard is it moved really fast afterwards. But as the first episode alone, we see uh the bit by bit to the original show. I
Yep.
lost. Yep, I lost my train of thought on the second one. Oh, all right. Second things is the second show that we have talked so far that have like the concept of arranged marriage.
What was the first
So
one?
the first one is Yakuza Fiancé.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I mean, it is an arranged marriage, kind of that Ranma is proposing, but he gets to. It's like he gets to pick one of the three daughters, or their father is going to pick one of them.
Yeah,
It's not exactly like. Of course, the sisters kind of come to an agreement or a disagreement, if you will, saying that Akane should marry him because Kasumi doesn't want to marry a younger man, and Nabiki doesn't want to marry him because I don't know why. Like she likes
yeah,
manly men or something like that.
yeah,
I don't know what's more manly than a guy who can beat up literally anybody that he runs into, though, because Ranma can do that. He's like a crazy good martial artist.
yeah.
So, and
Well,
you would assume, based on the setup for this series, that I've never gone deep into Ranma lore. I've only seen those first four episodes, never read any of the manga. But you would assume that, given that there are three siblings, that all of them would have some sort of romantic attachment to Ranma. This being kind of like a harem show.
all right. Yep. I'm not sure if the show going this way. I haven't read the show. I read some of the manga when I was a kid, but not to the extent that I remember all the storyline. I actually like the way that Rama they put up Rama and Akane for now, and don't see any romantic tension to any of the other sisters. But again, that might change in the future. So well,
Yeah, I mean,
F
I think a lot of Takahashi's works have like a sort of harem component to them. In
yeah,
Urusei Yatsura, there's a whole bunch of supernatural babes who are like who the main character lusts over. Even though he has like a beautiful alien wife. And there are a bunch of other like there are other aliens and people who are into Lum, the main female character in Urusei Yatsura.
yeah,
That's a franchise that I have a lot more knowledge of and experience with. So for
yeah,
Ranma, I assume it's similar. I mean, even just looking at the cast list on an anime database, you see that there are a bunch of characters here who have not yet been introduced, like
yeah.
Ukyo and Shampoo and stuff, who I know are
Shampoo.
also interested in Ranma. And Ranma can switch genders, or perhaps it's more
Yeah,
accurate to say Ranma can switch sexes.
yeah,
So he or they could have love interests on both sides of that spectrum. It just
yeah,
seems like a big sandbox for Takahashi to make as many pairings as she wants.
yeah, yeah. True. As far as the first episode goes, though, I kind of enjoy the updated production. So, like you said, the color palette looked really great, and the animation look pretty cool as well. There's some sort of like comedic moment, like when Akane, like see Rama as a boy in the bath. She doesn't immediately scream, but she just shut the door, go
And then
out,
freaks
and then
out.
scream. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that that moment they did really well, or even better in the original version. I also remember like when Rama and his father just fall into the cursed lake. Uh, the commentator or other guy who bring them there just casually say, "Oh, this is the one where a panda died tragically
Yeah.
1,000 years ago."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like amusing as well. But I feel, and I think you do as well, that it get tired later on when like grandma go to school and I can had to fight all the boys and like all these thing about that guy Kuno who fall in love with grandma would happen later on. So as far as the first episode go, I enjoy, but as far as like looking forward to more of Rama, I'm not sure if I want to tag along.
Well, I'll watch a few just to see, you know, whether I want to keep going because it is kind of weird, or there's nothing really weird about it actually, but to be so interested in anime and to have only seen like a handful of Ranma episodes just kind of feels wrong. Um, that's how I kind of think of it in my head.
Okay.
So I'll try. I mean, this is another potential entry point, so I'll try another few episodes. I don't imagine I'm going to keep going and going, but I'll
Yep.
try it.
All right. So good. Uh, as for the episode, I put it 8 out of 10.
Okay, I did 7.
All right. All right. The next one gonna be interesting to discuss. Is it up on the movement of the earth?
Oh, okay. Let me scroll up here. I have it listed as Chikyu no Undo ni Tsuite.
Oh, so you put this yep,
Yeah, but it
way
is the
up.
same show. Um, this is one of those shows we mentioned that has the dual episode preview. Not that you need to necessarily watch both at the same time because we did not, or at least I did not.
Yep,
But it certainly has a big enough hook at the end of its first, like 22, 23 minutes
yep,
with
yep.
what's his face. I have the names
Raffle.
here somewhere. Hubert,
Oh, yep,
revealing kind of the truth of the universe to Rafal, saying that it's
yep,
heliocentric and that the sun is the center of the universe. And he goes, "Whoa, that's crazy."
yep, yep. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. And the revelation comes under the stars, of course. It's
Yep,
probably the best looking part of the episode. In general, it doesn't look that impressive, you know.
yep,
But I think the direction is good enough. I mean, the a lot of the long shots of Raphael walking through the streets of this kingdom, which is referred to only as P, though I think it's inspired by 15th century Poland. Perhaps for legal reasons, it had to just be called P, since there's a depiction of a very big religious organization in this show.
yep,
There's shots of him walking down streets in this kingdom, and there are homeless people on the side of the street. There's one particular shot where you see a little kid like wrestling boots off of an intoxicated man's feet, stealing them and running
yep,
away.
yep,
So
yep, yep, yep,
there's
yep.
there's poverty here. There is a public burning of a heretic, I guess, someone who refused to recant on their like anti church beliefs, you know. And there's kind of an oppressive as a result of all this. There's kind of an oppressive tone that kind of hangs over the series, even as Rafal, you know, explains his like you go into his mind kind of, and he explains that you just have to tell people what they want to hear.
Hmm.
That's like his mission. That's how he lives his life. He just kind of gets by telling people the things they want to hear and agreeing with those that it's important to agree with. That's how he lives his life as what is he, an orphan, I guess, formerly.
Yep, he's often, yep,
Yeah. Now, of course, the rub for him is that he has now been exposed to the truth by Hubert. So rather than living his life by taking the path of least resistance, he, his curiosity about the world is going to drive him, I think, to continue to research on Hubert's behalf. So it's an
yep,
interesting setup.
yep. Well, for me though, I know that these all the violent scenes gonna be, it's part of the show, and like you say, there's like a hint of oppression, and like we see the people burning a steak, and the show doesn't shy on that as well. And the show also doesn't shy on like depicting torture, which happened I think in the beginning of the episodes.
Yeah, the
For
fingernails.
Yeah, the fingernails. For now, I just feel that these scenes are a bit too much for now. Just because, yeah, I just feel that it is oppressive and violent for a bit of violent check just to like to put the scenes, set up the tempo for now. So not really that working for me. And also Raphael, we see him as the main characters. He kind of like a genius. What they call the wonder kid. And then we hear how he monologue that like he just tried to say what people want to hear. And so we do get a sense of him as a person, but also wonder if the narration does really work. It's the only time that I think the narration work in the episodes, and it's more about like tell about his personality. Yeah, for now I'm just a bit curious. That's what I say about the whole premise, but not too sure on that yet.
I think part of the reason why it works that the show is kind of black and white.
Hmm.
Like just diving straight
Yep.
into Rafal's mind and having him explain that he, in order to get by, he, identifies what people want from him and just supplies it to them,
Yep.
so that he can be adopted by a good family and he can, immediately drop or at least say that he's going to drop his hobby of astronomy
Mm.
when his adoptive father, I guess whose name is like Pataki or something, looking at my anime list here,
All
when he
right.
says, you've already reached like the sixth level of stars, the sixth magnitude or the sixth order. I can't remember the exact phrase.
Yep.
He says right away he's going to drop it.
Yep.
So it's all like the show is presenting itself in a very cut and dry fashion, and I think the reason that that is successful is because at the end of that first episode, the world kind of opens up to
Yep.
Rafal. So
Yep.
formerly he lived in a very self-serving way where he was just trying to have the easiest life possible.
Yep.
Now that he's heard about this other, far more logical, far more beautiful, like orientation of the universe, and an alternative to the way that he has thought about the world and the way that he has lived his life has now been presented to him. I think we're going to see a big change in
Yep.
the way that he thinks, the way that he acts, and in the
True.
show as a whole.
Yep.
So that contrast, I think, will, as more episodes go on, will kind of reveal itself.
Yep.
Hopefully, that's just speculation on my part, but that's what I'm sensing.
Yep. And curiosity get the better of him as well, and all of these fellows who want to pursue the truth. So Hubert, when he tells Raphael that he know a better spot to look at the star,
Yeah,
Raphael just bite it, just go for it.
yeah, and the way the show cuts from him thinking to himself,
Yep.
or even talking to himself, saying, "No, there's no way. This guy's crazy. He's violent. There's no way I'm going to go with him." Smash cut to the open field at night under the stars, and he's already,
Yep.
you know, we don't,
Yep.
of course, we don't need him to think to himself, I guess I'll go after all. You
Yep.
you
Yep.
immediately infer what's happened. So that transition is successful, I think.
Yep. Yep.
But
I
he
agree.
definitely, you know, impulsive.
Hmm.
Not a great decision, I think, to follow this guy, perhaps to his death, because
Yep.
the Inquisitor, the guy Novak,
Yep.
who's collecting people's fingernails and stuff, he is obviously not fucking around.
Yep. The fingernails though, it just when you see when you see that, it just like, oh man.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that you didn't really enjoy that.
Ew. Yep.
I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it either, but it didn't really gross me out too much.
Yep.
I like the line about nails growing back.
Oh,
That there was
yeah,
there was one guy who like held out for so long that his nails grew back multiple times.
yeah,
That's pretty frightening. That's more
yeah.
frightening than Uzumaki, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Nails versus spirals.
All right, what did you rank it?
All right, I rank it 4 out of 10.
Okay, for me it was number one.
Yep.
So the
All
cat is out of the
right.
bag on my number one. Yours is still in the bag.
Yep.
Well,
All
actually, I
right.
think I know what it is because of the first episode awards for Starcrossed. But
Yep. Let's
for the
pretend that
viewers,
you.
for the listeners, it's still in the bag.
All right. NegaPosi Angler. Negative positive angler is the
Yeah,
next
what's the
show.
deal with negative positive? What do you? Obviously, that could refer to the main character's state of mind, since clearly he comes
Yep.
in with a very negative view
Yep.
of himself and his own life, and perhaps it will become more positive over time. But is there another meaning to that title? Do you know anything about fishing?
I have no idea. Like, I did do the fishing, but are really novice when it comes to fishing.
Okay,
Uh, there isn't any term about negative positive in fishing at all, as far as I know.
all right. Well, maybe then it's strictly like related to his 2 years to live, prognosis
Yep.
and his gambling debts and everything.
Well, it's another fishing show, so it remind me a lot of another fishing show that we watch and enjoy. All right, I've come up with the name now. Shuhitake, or
Suritama.
sorry, Suhitama. Sorry, yep.
Yeah.
And to compare the two, so I actually still enjoy Shuhitama more than the show. But yeah, it's kind of funny to see that the main characters who is very negative. In fact, that the first thing you see is he trying to hang himself. So and all the things that he done, so he know that he only have two things. Sorry, 2 years in his life. He blamed everyone else for his downfall. He's run away from like all the loan shark. But
Yeah.
I love the way that the show does it in not too serious way. So like when he tried to grab on the one of the pole, we see that his face just like turn into kind of movement way, with like the really big mouth. I love that.
What scene are you describing? When he tries to grab onto a pole? What pole is
Yeah,
this?
that when he run away from the loan shark and they get into the bridge and he tried to get away by like by just grabbing to some of the side of the bridge
I remember the
and
scene where
then
he's running from the loan sharks. I just don't remember how he like the specifics of how he tries to escape, I guess.
yeah before he fall into the river. Remember
Okay.
that when he tried to
I
get away
remember they
from.
cross over a bridge. I just don't know what pole you're talking
All
about,
right.
but that's fine.
Yeah, well, just the depiction of his face, then it just looks so. Uh, he, you cannot take him serious at all. But you know, uh,
Well, maybe not a
I
character who
enjoy
should
that.
be taken too seriously since he tried to,
Yeah,
end his own life.
yeah,
Obviously, I don't mean that he doesn't deserve respect or dignity or anything, but maybe his advice on stuff is not going to be solid.
yeah, yeah,
And there are a lot of
and then
characters. There's him. There's the three loan sharks, all of whom have pretty fun character designs. I would say. I think they're probably going to
yeah,
recur because obviously his debts are not going to disappear.
yeah, yeah,
And his
yeah,
house is burned down. That's what we get in the very last shot of the first episode, or his apartment.
yeah.
So the loan sharks will probably try to track him down wherever he ends up staying, probably with the pink-haired guy.
Hmm.
Then there's all the characters who like they're all employees at this fishing shop
Yeah,
or in every mart. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It doesn't have a name that's related to fishing. It seems like it's maybe a bigger store than that. Um, all of them, they all have very, they're of varied genders and ages and sizes and hair colors and whatever else. You know, there's
And
a lot of variety there
even
too.
yeah, even the style are different as well.
Yeah, like
So
the owner of the show who's kind of like chibified and has like duck lips and opaque
yep,
glasses and kind of a comb over, and he's real short. He has a very
yep, yep,
fun
yep,
look to his character.
yep. And even to this character as well, I just feel that the character design are really loose in the show, which is for me a good thing. It
Yeah, I
just
would agree.
yeah, it just make it more variety, and like just very funny to look at.
Yeah, there'll probably be a lot more funny faces in episodes to come because fishing can, for somebody who's new to it, I would imagine it would be kind of a big surprise the different ways that your line might get pulled on or the all the stuff you have to do
Yep,
to change up like what kind of bait you're going to use, and it's going to be slimy, and then the fish are going to wriggle when you try to get them off the line, and I'm sure he'll be learning and making a bunch of weirded out and bizarre expressions in future episodes because fishing is
yep.
a strange hobby.
How do you define strange?
I would say
Healing?
it's strange because they're doing it recreationally and
Yep,
they're not doing it to survive. For most of human history, fishing, like catching fish, has been something that we've done in order to live.
yep,
And when you're just catching fish only to throw them back, or when you're just catching fish just to catch a few and
yep,
eat them, and you're not doing it to sustain yourself,
yep,
it's kind of why are you putting yourself through all that effort? I mean, even in this episode, the main character is contemplating like he's kind of having
yep,
fun fishing, but then he thinks to himself, wait a minute, is this actually? Am I actually having any fun? Like this is kind of he
yep,
doesn't know totally how he feels about the emotions that he's going through.
yep, yep.
So maybe that's
Well,
something that this show will touch on. Is fishing itself what's fun, or is it the people that you fish with that make it fun?
I would say both. Like the fact that you enjoy the process of doing something instead of the goal of it is also rewarding. And like when you try to catch the big fish, and like and and like the main characters who nearly caught the big fish, you feel like a sense of satisfaction as well to like to actually like beat out one of them. And I think that's the whole thing that Hero is going through as well. So at first he doesn't really enjoy fishing, and he get into fishing because one of the girl tell him to do it. And
Yeah, the girl with the big blue hair.
yep, Hannah.
Yeah,
And then at the end of it, he kind of like, yeah, fishing is not that bad. So yeah, so I kind of enjoy the premise of the episodes. Want to see more of it, and want to see how this guy get out of his troubles. Many of many of that I think was so post. Like he did learn something, so that he now getting a low strike going after him. So he got it for himself.
yeah. He's in debt. He's just entangled himself with a bunch of fishing maniacs, and his apartment burned down, and he
Yeah.
has 2 years to live, and he's depressed, and he's definitely got more to overcome than just a lack of fishing skill.
Yeah. True. True.
And hopefully, I think the first episode, it took a while to get to the fishing part. It really
Mm-hmm.
established his character first,
Mm-hmm.
so there ought to be something of a balance there. Maybe he'll figure out a way to fish in order to pay off his debt. Like some sort of arrangement will be struck. He'll probably end up working at that store, like get a job,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that he can hang out more with this cast of motley characters. You can kind of predict where the show is going to go, but that doesn't mean it won't be, won't have something to offer.
Yeah, true. And do you know like these the loan shark who come after him remind me of whom?
Team Rocket from Pokemon.
No, of of the gang from Nadia, the secret of blue
Oh,
waters.
yes. You know what? Now that you say that, I also was reminded of them.
Yeah,
Yeah. But also, the gang Nadia from the gang from Nadia, Grandis and her
Grandis,
two henchmen, they also reminded
Sanson,
me of like
Hanson.
her long red hair reminded me of Jessie from Pokemon. So maybe that's why I
See,
made that
yeah,
connection. I went one step too far in my
yeah.
head.
All right. I put it 5 out of 10.
Okay, for me it was number 6.
Yeah. So far we don't have any overlap. So
Nope. But we have several that are just within 1 or 2 points of each other.
yeah. All
How
right.
about
The
this
next
next one?
one. Yep. Kimi wa Meido-sama. You are Miss Servant.
Yeah, I really don't like the localized title. She's not a
Evolve.
servant, she's a maid.
Yep.
I would say there's a pretty
True.
big difference. But maybe that's
It is.
just like my 21st century
But
perspective.
maybe because they do that because they want to differentiate. They try to make the difference with another show, Miss Summer, I think. Back in 2010.
Yeah, like a rom com
Yep. Yep.
about
That one. So
Meido-sama. Yeah, yeah, maybe for the American market because I think that show was probably pretty big among Western fans, just because
hmm.
we like maids, I guess. Though I didn't particularly like the maid in this episode. I mean, she's fine, but
uh she far from being fine. She come to one of the house and she asked to be, a maid. And the thing is, she never know this guy before. She never know anything about being a maid before. So she never cook. She never clean. What the hell is she doing here?
you have to figure there's going to be some sort of flashback that
Backstory.
explains. Yeah, like she knew somebody. She was an assassin, right? So perhaps on one of her jobs, she went undercover as a maid, and that was like she encountered somebody in the process of doing that assassination who really left an imprint on her, like a mark on her. So she enjoyed her time pretending to be a maid. So now she wants to become one to leave her
Uh,
past behind. And she probably has some connection to this guy. Like she went to his apartment specifically, right? So
yep.
maybe the person who she met on this hypothetical assassination undercover maid job was somebody who was distantly related to him. Is there not some line in this episode she's like, "You're my oh yeah, we're related. You're my niece's cousin's dog's pet sitter's
Yep.
something something something." I think
Yep.
what
Yep.
we'll
Yep.
find out in a future episode is that that's actually true.
Yep.
And she went to this
Also,
guy's house because she was so isolated as an assassin that this random stranger is actually her closest connection in the whole world through that bizarre lengthy sentence that she said.
okay. Well,
I mean, I
I'm
can easily imagine the
yeah,
show creating some sort of quote unquote comedic rationale for everything we've seen so far because it
yeah,
is a
yeah,
comedy
yeah,
as far as I can tell.
yeah. I agree. Well, I think I make the comparison between Yuki and Violet Evergarden and Yo in Spy Family, and she just even worse than them. Like I don't think Violet Evergarden is a really good character in her show, and I don't think Yo is she my least favorite for sure in that show, and Yuki is so far even you know worse than that. So there's like no speck of originality in Yuki or in the main characters who is basically a plank, and
Yeah, he just exists to be like a relatable Japanese teenager who's really messy and needs a maid.
Yeah,
And then a maid shows up.
yeah, for no apparent reason at all. And then when you try to sell me that, Yuki just feel like warm, sitting, or sorry, lying in his lap. I just feel that too much. Mm,
She doesn't he lie on her lap?
all right, sorry, it's the other way around. Yeah. Whoever lie in the other person's lap, it just don't feel earned at all.
Yeah, it would be difficult to make that come across realistically. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the show's goal.
Right.
I
Well.
think it's just supposed to be like a fun made comedy, or it'll get there eventually. This first episode was kind of somber in a lot of places. Like for
All
example,
right.
the main character wakes up from a dream, or I guess a nightmare, with tears in his eyes at one point.
Yep. Yep.
And he later encounters Yuki, or the maid. Do we even know her name after this episode? Does she introduce herself? Or is that
That's a
just
good
something we
question.
know because of an anime database?
Good question. I think when she introduced herself, maybe she say her name. I'm not too sure on that though.
Because he still refers to her as Meido-sama, doesn't
Hmm.
he? Throughout this whole episode, and not Yuki.
Yep. 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 Meido-sama.
Yeah, I'm not sure we know her name yet. Maybe we do. I could be wrong. But they have, it's not as though they're on a first name basis in any sense of the phrase. They're
Yep.
strangers, and they feel like strangers. So this, I mean, the the show doesn't create a very warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yep.
Not the kind that would typically accompany a scene where somebody lays their head in another person's lap. So it does that moment does feel kind of weird.
Yep. Yep. And then the way that they have they have dinner together. Uh, and then she have an obsession with the tonkatsu sauce, I think.
Yeah, tonkatsu sauce. That I did like this scene where because he has his own nightmare that wakes him up. She also has a dream where she encounters a gigantic bottle, like a human-sized bottle of tonkatsu sauce,
Yeah.
and it offers her like unlimited licks for life, and it'll never run out. And she's so happy, and then she wakes up and discovers that it wasn't real, and she's sad about it. I thought that was kind of fun.
Okay. All right. I'm just not in the mood for this show at all. So I put it 10 out of 10.
Oh, last for me is number 8.
All right. Oh, wow. So all right. I know you're number 9. I still don't know your number 10. So
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting, very interesting. When we
Yeah, how
get
many
into
shows do
the
we? How many more shows do we have? 3 more.
3 more.
Okay.
All right. Shall we get into Dandadan?
Dun, 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 dun. It's got the I think the show is probably very popular right now.
It
Not least
is.
of and there are many reasons for that. Not least of them would be the virality. I think of the opening theme. It's very catchy.
Yeah.
It's by Creepy Nuts, the same band that did the Call of the Night,
Oh, I
Yofukashi no
see.
Uta.
Yeah.
That OP, and they do have kind of a unique style. There's some hip hop delivery. There's also like jazz guitar as well. Some interesting chord progressions
Mm.
in like the bridge of the Dandadan theme. So I don't know if it's necessarily the kind of music that I would seek out more of, like download an album. I don't know if I would do anything like that, but I do. It's a different sound, which is nice. It's not
Yeah.
just like typical J rock. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's one of those so that we can watch in Netflix. I actually watched the show on Netflix. Which one? One of the other show. that we about to do. I actually didn't watch Uzumaki in there.
I just download everything from the website
Yep,
that shall
yep,
not be named.
yep.
And if it's not on that site, I use the other site that shall not be named. Um, and yeah, but I mean, if it's a Netflix show, then they're ripping it from Netflix. So it's the
Yep,
same as if I watched it on the streaming service, I think, except the font would be different, I guess.
yep.
I did watch Uzumaki with the dub,
Oh,
so I
right.
had the English voices to get the Adult Swim experience. But for Dandadan, I just watched whatever, whatever was available.
Yep. How do you feel about these episodes?
I would say disappointed.
All right. Wow.
Definitely disappointed.
T-
I expected more.
all right. Tell me more about that.
Similar to the way that I didn't connect to any character in Uzumaki, I really did not connect to any
Mm,
character in Dandadan. The way that it opens up, like the OP comes first, and then the very first shot after that is Momo going, huh?
yep.
Like getting in an argument with her soon to be ex boyfriend about the fact that he wants sex from her and she's not putting out,
Yep.
and he's immature and she's just so over it.
Yep.
It's kind of a bold start, and I was like, okay, so let's see where this goes. But then she gets tied up in this whole plot with whatever
King.
the main guy's name is. I guess it's Ken Takakura, and she likes guys. She likes an
Yep.
actor named Ken Takakura. The fact that she is shackled to him kind of sucks, in my opinion. Like I don't.
Oh.
The show is just pure style. That's all I'm getting from it after one episode.
All right.
The only semblance of like humanity that I got from it was her little story about her grandmother and
Mm,
how like her relationship with her grandmother was strained because she's some sort of spirit medium and she wants her to like hold up her like focus her chi and make a little hand sign to help her
yep.
channel it.
Yep.
And she realized she comes to an epiphany saying that it was I really valued my relationship with my grandmother. It wasn't the fact that people were making fun of me that when I was a kid that bothered me. It was that they were making fun of her.
Yep.
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, there's a reason to there's she's human. There's a human
Yep.
character in this story. It's not just ghouls and aliens who want to see people's boobs and vaginas. There's a beating heart somewhere underneath one of these characters' weird sets of eccentricities.
Yep.
Apart from
Yep.
that, though, I was just like, wow, look at the animation.
Right. I kind of like the premise, the premise of this girl who met a guy who actually into occult stuff and alien stuff, sorry, and see into the ghost story stuff. So they dare each other uh, to go to these places where um, there been rumors that like it had been cursed or it have alien in there, and they actually found this one. I think it's kind of cool to do that, and I would say cool is like the main objective for this for episodes because the animation is cool, the way that they turn into the monster is cool, the way that the alien does to her is not cool, but it
Yeah.
it's still like over the top and funny. I think I understand what you said, where the show is old style and not too much about the characters because I kind of feel that as well. But so far it provide a lot of twists and turns that I don't really mind about. I just kind of suck into these adventures of Momo and Ken. So yep, a whole good time for me.
All right. Well, that's good. I don't. I mean, I'm gonna watch more, definitely,
Yep,
but
yep,
I don't. I don't like Ken at all.
yep,
Not really interested. Like the fact that his relationship with Momo kicks off on such an antagonistic footing.
yep, yep, yep.
There, she kind of sticks up for him in class a little bit by putting herself between him and the people who were throwing like wads of paper at him and stuff. And he repays her by like getting on her case about the fact that he doesn't think ghosts are real. he just seems like a little punk,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
annoying, ungrateful, the sort of person that I would want to avoid at all costs if I were in high school, because I wouldn't have a good time around them. And
And now he been cursed as well by
yeah,
Turbo Granny.
yeah, Turbo Granny. That's that doesn't to me that doesn't obviously it adds a layer to his character because he is now like one and a half characters. He's got this other side to his personality, I guess, but that doesn't make me think any more highly of him. It does make me think about Kemonozume though. This show, some of
Ha.
the like
Yep,
monster
yep, yep,
transformation animation is the
yep,
closest I've seen to Kemonozume in the 18 years since that show came out.
yep, yep.
So that's very interesting to me because it's a sort of style that seems to be appealing to a broad set of people. This seems to be a very popular show, yet the animation is so experimental,
Yeah, I agree.
which was not the case 18 years ago when Kemonozume came out, and hardly anybody knew who Yuasa was at that point because this was pre Tatami Galaxy.
Yeah, I
So I'm glad for the fact that the show is a success for that reason, at least.
yep, I agree with you, and I don't think it's far fetched to say that Kimi no Shume is one of the main inspiration to this show. Given
It
the
could
fact
be.
that they come from basically the same studio. It's not technically the same studio, but Sansaru it's made by Sansaru after all. So
Yeah, but Yuasa is no longer at Science Saru.
yeah, well,
Onyong Choi, who is his protege, is the head of Science Saru, though. And so she may have some of the same connections that Yuasa had in terms of like getting animation producer, like calling up animation producers and being like, "Who do you have who can work on this?" I don't exactly know how all those back channels that people use to contact different animators work. Sometimes you see the same names pop up on different productions, but you never know how, like what phone calls are being made and what
involved.
contracts are
Yeah,
being written and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Certainly, there is some sort of link between the two visually, and probably, you know, in terms of staff. If you really hunted, you could probably find something.
yeah,
And so that's cool.
yeah,
And there's a show's got a big attitude, which I think gives it a leg up. It's not quiet. A lot of people when they watch anime, they prefer something that's kind of big and larger than life, and I think this show offers that.
mm,
And there are going to
yeah,
be more characters. Right now we're kind of laser focused on Momo and Ken, but if you look at if you look at an anime database, got that sentence out, you can see there are other supporting characters like teenage age
yeah,
and stuff. So we're gonna have more than just one alien enthusiast and more than just one ghost enthusiast here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm all for that. Like I really enjoy the wow visual, and yep, all we say for now is style over sustain. But for now I don't mind. When it gets serious to the it character act though, I think it might hurt the show. But I think we are far away from that at the moment. And just enjoy the ride.
All right,
All right, so as
what'd
you
you rank it?
might have guessed, my I pick it number one out of 10.
Yeah,
How about
that
you?
checks out. For me, it was number
Yep,
4.
yep. All right, okie dokie.
Got a couple more
Let's
here.
Yep. The next one is the one that just released. I would say like 12 hours ago. So
Yeah,
I
just recently. Yeah,
Yep. It's Plume Miburo.
yeah. The
The
Blue
Plume
Wolves of
Wolf
Mibu.
Mibu. Yep. I
Yeah,
actually like the translation title, The Blue Wolf of Mibu.
yeah. It sounds pretty cool.
Yep.
A group of warriors personified as wolves, I guess, or just
Mm,
referred to as wolves. Maybe personified is not the right word there.
yeah.
So this is about the what was it again? It starts with an R, like Roshi Gade or something. It's about the a group of samurai, which would
Yep.
eventually become the Shinsengumi during the Bakumatsu. So it's
Okay.
pre Shinsengumi. So it's before like the most critical period of the Meiji Restoration. So almost like a
Uh,
prologue to a major historical event.
all right. Yep.
So that's
And
kind of that's kind of an interesting way to approach this time
yep.
period. Usually, you get the war itself, like that conflict itself.
Yep.
Here, I'm thinking, especially if you watch the OP with the like really boring J Rock song and the millions of characters on screen, it's you get I get the sense at least that it's going to be more about the characters themselves and not really the conflict surrounding them.
Yep.
This first episode is kind of structured that way. Like,
Yep.
the it's we were focused in on the two guys, the two really handsome samurai, and the story is basically fed to us rather than it evolving out of who these guys are and what they do. Like women pass by them on the street as they're eating their dango, and they're like, "Oh, there are kidnappers around town. Better watch out." So we find out what's going to happen later in the episode from just two nameless characters walking by. Then later, after the two men have left the restaurant, there's just a guy in there who I guess was really slow eating his food, and he's still in the restaurant. And he says, "Oh, those guys are they're the blue wolves. You got to watch out for them.
Yeah.
They're not what they seem. They're foreigners. That's who they are." So we learn about their occupation from yet another nameless character who's just hanging around. And then, the confrontation with the kidnappers is also just so lame.
Yeah. Well. Uh. And we not even get into the fact that that two guys who came to rescue to who came to at that place to rescue other kids, we don't see any of that at all because we are from the point of view of Neo, the main characters, who at that point was sailing home. So y- yeah,
with
well,
his like adopted sister, I guess,
yep,
Iroha.
yep, 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 yep.
So
That's
yeah,
that's correct.
that was apparently all a trap. Like the two samurai, I guess their names are Hijikata and who was the other one? Was it Noguchi? I see a bunch of names here, but I
Yep.
don't see faces to connect them with.
No, that should be fine.
I'll just say the
I
two
tried.
samurai.
Yep. All right. So good.
So it was apparently all a trap. Like they had to lure out the kidnappers. But my question is, what, he obviously intentionally spills some tea onto Iroha, the girl's
Yep.
outfit. What was the reason for that?
I
How did
I'm
that
not really
play
sure.
into the attracting the kidnappers?
All right. I'm not really sure, but I think the reason is that because she was pouring that tea into her clothes, they have to go to their home or something to get the clothes, to get a replacement or to
Oh,
wash
oh,
that
oh,
clothes.
oh. Okay.
So that's why
Yes.
they have to go out at night.
Okay. So he
Uh,
just spills it on her so that she has to go get
yep.
her clothes. I didn't really get that from the dialogue, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that purely implied though because part of me is still thinking that they live in that restaurant, so I don't know why they have to go out. But maybe it's just me who didn't get that sense.
I mean, it would make sense if they lived there, right? Because all, especially in earlier points in history, a lot of people did live in the same place where they did business, or right next
Yeah.
door, or the floor above, or the floor below, or in the back
Yep.
room. You know,
Yep.
I guess that's not the case with these two kids and
Well.
their grandma who supports them by working at this restaurant and probably doesn't have a lot of money for an extra, room where they're apparently going to get a change of clothes.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. No, I know. I actually kind of enjoy this episode. In the sense that like we see it from one of the old men who do the storytelling to the kids that this group are not going to be success. So there's like a hint of Meido-sama that in the future. So I think like you said, this show is not concerned about the events, the main events, which is related to real life events, but more about these characters uh, who you see the rise and the fall afterwards. So I'm actually looking forward to that. And the three characters that we see so far, Neo and the two guys, they actually have kind of personality and they bounce off each other well. They're all in like the observant of how Neo can like when he see about this and that he can make sense immediately of like what happened, and this is kind of like a really good quality for me. uh i I enjoyed the first episodes. That's all I say.
All right. Well, that makes one of us.
Yeah,
I
that
pretty
make
much
one of
hated.
us.
I pretty much hated this. I thought that
Right.
the show's method of delivering information to the viewer was
I
extremely
do agree with you on
ham-fisted.
that though. Yep. Yep.
Uh, yeah, and visually, I hated the compositing. Everything was too bright. Um,
Right.
obviously there was a scene that was set in the dark, and that's great. But that scene itself was like, oh, the one of the kidnappers was actually just a victim after all. Now we got to go to the hideout of the real kidnappers, and then that's just
Yep.
completely omitted from the episode. We don't see that at all. It just cuts to the next day. That was
Yep.
very weird.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
Neo bursts out at the end as well. For me,
oh,
feel
that
pretty
dude, that
real.
was the worst part of all. I might not have even mentioned it unless, except for you saying it just now, because I try to put it out of my mind. That was terrible. And the speed lines on screen when he did it, just like there were speed lines on screen, like right when those two samurai are introduced at the start, and then it cuts
Yep.
to a whole bunch of women being like, "Oh my God, they're so hot," and there are speed lines at the top and bottom of the screen indicating that they're like, these girls are so hyped up about how attractive the men are. You- these visual shortcuts are just not good, man.
All
And
right.
Neo's outburst is completely like unjustifiable from a screenwriting sense. We hardly know anything about him. Like we know he's an orphan and we know that in times of war, times of conflict, orphans are going to have it hard, but we don't know anything specifically about like how he has had it hard. We don't know enough about him to hear from him screaming that way. Just it was a miss for me. This whole thing was a miss.
Uh, all right. Too bad. So I think it's gonna be the most different between the two of us. Then I put it 2 out of 10, second place
Wow.
for me.
Okay. Yeah, huge difference.
10.
Yeah, for me, I mean, for me, it was dead last.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There's no way I'll watch another episode of this, so you will have to let me know how
All
it
right.
turns out.
All right. Let's get to the last one then. Last but not least,
All
and
right.
I think we kind of know other person's vote as well. I think we got them the same at the same place.
Yeah,
So blue
we
box.
finally matched at the very end because we
Yep.
went in reverse alphabetical order.
Yep. True. True. Oh no, Hackle blue box.
Yeah. I mean, even in the same way that I was disappointed with Dandadan, I would say I was kind of disappointed with Blue Box too. I expected
I
something a
can.
little. What's up?
Yep. I kind of agree with you as well. So that's that. I just want to put that out there. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted something a little more mature, and what we got here felt like a shonen romance. Like the way that the main character, the sort of narration we hear from him, and the fact that he's kind of simple-minded, and it's
Yep.
just, it's anime, so there's nothing really wrong with that. But I think I wanted something different than what the show is actually serving up.
Yep. I think it suffer a little bit because it's from the point of view of him who have a massive crush on her and who is not mature enough to so that every single action from her he was like wow she remember my name.
Yeah.
uh
I mean that to be fair, that is a big deal in Japan.
oh
Like
god.
the whole thing they have going on with names where you introduce yourself by your family name, and then if someone remembers your given name, your first name, that's like a major deal.
I think it's a
Um,
big deal in Japan as well, based on the how many years that we watch anime that like drinking from the same bottle is indirect kiss
yeah,
because
Kansatsu Kisu. Yeah, was that in this
oh,
first episode?
no, it's not. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
something I want to bring up.
This is one of the first shows that I watched. I think I watched it shortly after the episode came out, which was maybe a couple of weeks ago at this point.
Yep, yep,
Um, so my recall on some of the details is a little hazy. I do remember that the show is very interested in showing off its 3D CG gym, like the
yep.
gymnasium. It's got that scene where the camera's like
Uh,
snaking backwards through the gym and showing all the different sports that like a
yep,
hundred different CG kids are playing.
yep. I got that same sense as well. I was like, is it really that big to hold like five six different sport in there into one team? But well,
I guess it
that's
is.
what yeah that what the show want to show off. So
Yeah. Taiki is the main character's name, and he does, as part of his narration, explain that he goes to, like, the school that he goes to is both a middle and a high school. And I
yep,
think that's somewhat common in Japan. I know one of the Adachi series has something similar. Maybe, maybe Mix, because Otomi and Mix, I think, is like part of the same. Her middle school is going to feed directly into the same high school as her older brothers, if I
yeah,
remember
maybe.
correctly.
Mm.
Um,
Yep,
and as part of Taiki's explanation of how his middle and high schools work, because he's in his last year of middle school, Hina, his love interest, first year of high school, he says that the school that he goes to is like very focused on athletics. And he's a badminton player, Hina's a basketball player. You have to imagine most of the other characters that are introduced will also be athletes. They'll have that in common. And that's how. Oh, I'm sorry. Chinatsu is the name of his love interest. I got that wrong.
hmm,
That's probably how the story will go. It's like going to be this story of multiple athletes in different sports. You got the athletics on one side, you got the romance on the other.
yep,
Pretty simple setup.
yep. Well, I'm not opposed to that, but like you, I just get a sense that this show could have been better or more mature. Um, well, and we don't even get into the fact that at the end of the day, this guy have his crush who stay in his house for the remaining for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's also very, very anime.
yeah,
Like straight out of a rom com manga. And, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you can succeed using a kind of a well worn plot like that.
yeah,
And I hope to enjoy this show. I'm gonna keep watching
yeah,
and see what it can pull out of its bag of tricks. What
yeah.
how it can differentiate itself from other shows like it. One thing that I think is somewhat promising is that Taiki plays badminton
Uh-huh.
singles, which is a very individual sport, and
Yep,
Chinatsu plays basketball, which is a team sport. So that
yep,
may indicate a difference in like their mindsets and in
yep,
who they are as people.
yep.
And I think
Because I
if
think
the show explores that through the lens of athletics and kind of peers into their characters through that lens, then that might contribute to their relationship.
yeah, I think at one point Taiki did say that he did try basketball and it doesn't work because he's kind of like just kind of like a selfish players who doesn't really want to pass the ball to anyone else.
Right.
So that's why he want to stick with like individual sport, would kind of make sense. Um, I also like you feel that the show doesn't have any red flag at the moment, but I also wish that the show could be a bit more special than this. But so far, yeah, I still say that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, for me, the reason that I put it third is that even though I wasn't wild about it, I was less crazy about a bunch of other shows.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that there aren't promising shows in this group. Like I have some hopes for Dandadan, for Yakuza Fiancé, for NegaPosi Angler.
Yeah.
I guess that's as far down as I would go. Say that my top six out of these 10, I hope
Mm,
to, you know, I might actually finish.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, Blue Box, I guess, slightly more likely to finish it than some of the other shows, but
Hmm.
we'll have to see. Because I'm
Yeah.
also
Sure.
catching up on a bunch of other stuff too. Winter,
Yeah.
spring, summer, got a big backlog.
Yeah. 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 Me too. So well, I would say that out of these 10 shows, I kind of want to watch more, about six, seven of them. So just like you, but whether I will finish them by the end of the season is, pretty much up in the air as well.
Yeah, we are currently scheduled to do our anime of the year episode in like January 7th or something.
Yep.
The first week of that month.
Yep.
Excuse me, I think it's actually January 5th.
Yep.
So even
Yep.
even sooner than that. So good luck to both of us, since we'll need to watch a lot of stuff before that point. I mean, I still have to watch the last 10 episodes of Dungeon Meshi.
I finished that one.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I'm not as dedicated, I guess. I haven't been as dedicated this year, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm sick right now. That's gonna earn me like 1 or 2 days off of work. I think gonna have to call in a
Yep.
sub to watch my class,
Yep.
and I'll stay at home in bed and watch anime.
All right. Yep. No, that's how good. I gonna talk to you like in later days about when I get my leave schedule or my holiday schedule. Just to see that all of these like postcard that we're gonna do in the future lines up.
Yeah, yep.
But yeah,
We'll figure it out.
is there any other shows in this season that you have watched or first episodes, sorry, that you have watched that not in our 10 but you want to recommend?
Yeah, actually, Trillion Game.
Right.
It's the show is has very distinctive character designs. It's based on a manga by a very famous manga artist whose name is escaping me at the moment. I could look it up on Google right now if I wanted to, but you know,
No,
just
that's
trust
fine.
me, he's famous.
Yeah. Right.
And the presentation of the show is very plain, but the premise is it's interesting in a very anime sense. Like we're gonna try to get $1 trillion. Let's see if they can do it. It ends up being pretty fun, kind of in spite of itself.
Mm,
I liked watching that episode. I'm going to watch more of that. That
all
might
right.
be the only one apart outside of these, six or so at the top of my list that I will watch more of.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
How about you? You see
I
anything
tried to
else?
look at it. Not really anything that would blow my mind. So he's the creator of Doctor Stone. Uh,
I think you're talking about the writer.
all right. So let's see the act. Crying Freeman.
Yes, the guy who did Crying Freeman and Sanctuary is another one of his most famous works. For whatever reason, I can't remember
Sanctuary.
his name right now.
Right. His name is uh, Ryouichi Ikegami.
Oh yeah, Ikegami.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's famous as not as an author, but as an artist. And he
Right.
has, if a modern anime watcher looks at his stuff, they might be kind of put off by it. The characters' chins are kind of weird looking, and Their proportions are very human. There's not a lot of the heads sit on their shoulders in very realistic fashion. You know, even if they're cartoon characters and they are kind of weird looking for that reason, he values human anatomy, I think, in a way that
Mm.
many modern authors don't.
Yep.
So he's got a reputation. I was interested to see how his designs would move in animation, and the answer is that they don't really, because the show is animated on a shoestring budget. But I still ended up liking the first episode.
All
That's
right.
about all I
Fair
got,
enough.
though.
Yep. I watched about like half an hour of ReZero, season three, and
Right, the movie length premiere, right?
yep, no way, no way. Nearly finished the first premiere just because it's an hour and 30 minutes long. So yeah, so far I enjoy the 30 minutes of it. It is slow, but like every ReZero, it just the first few episodes is just a setup until the shit hit the fan. So yep,
And he starts
busy as
dying, and
usual.
the world starts getting reset and all that stuff.
Yep, yep.
Good old
So
ReZero.
ReZero. Other than that, though, I'm really looking forward to the third season of Beastar, which will air in December.
Okay,
Hopefully, I gonna catch that before our postcard for the new season.
right. All right. I had
Yep,
forgotten that was happening, but yeah, given that it's debuting online rather than on television, it can be at any point.
yep. Alrighty. I think that's it for us for this season. So there's a clear cut of like the top three or four shows. And we have one big disagreement between Blue Miburo, where I put it second, and Whooper put it dead last.
Yeah.
Dang. And maybe Yakuza Fiancé, who's with that like a four spot different between us.
Eh, yeah. I mean, we'll see. A lot of these
Yeah,
shows I'm gonna put on a short leash. I'm not gonna watch them just because. I'll watch them if
mm,
I want to.
yeah. Alrighty. That's it for us from now. You will be hearing back from us when we're doing the anime movies of this year.
Yeah, that'll be at the start of December, I think. So we will see you then.
Yep. All right. Bye for now, guys.
Bye.